Okay, hi. Couple of housekeepings before we start. We've obviously muted everyone in there in the webinar today, but we've opened up the Q&A panel. So there will be a question and answer session at the end of the webinar. So if you want to pop any questions in that panel, we'll attempt to answer them at the end. So, well, firstly, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us. Today, hopefully, Dan and I will hopefully explain to you what Microsoft Copilot is, what the current offering is, and highlight some areas which you need to think about before any deployment of Copilot. So, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. It's changing the way that we do business in this digital age. Let's face it, technology is moving faster than ever. It's changing everything, and businesses are looking to use AI to beat the competition and create new things. AI is very much an overused word presently. So I thought it would be good just to understand what AI really is. So artificial intelligence, AI for short, it's when machines can act like humans and do things that normally needs a human brain, like learning from data, changing things up, doing hard tasks, finding patterns, guessing what might happen or will happen, and solving tricky problems. And AI has many different kinds of technologies like machine learning, natural language, computer vision, robotics, among other things. But basically, AI lets machines learn from data, and it understands what we say and what we see, and it does things on its own. And more businesses are using AI now because computers are getting stronger, data's getting bigger, and people really want to try and automate and make smart decisions. And businesses are trying to use or are using AI to make things easier, faster, better. But I think we should be clear, AI, it's not all fun and games. It does come with some challenges around ethics, data privacy, and the effect on automation on jobs. I think we need to be clear on that. So I found some interesting facts on a recent survey which highlighted that the main problems business face today is the pace and the amount of work is fundamentally outpacing our ability to keep up. And the most valuable commodity in the majority of businesses is time. The problem is we have too much work, not enough time to do it, and we're spending lots of time doing repetitive and unproductive tasks. So it also highlighted that employees want a new way of working. You know, people are facing challenges in their work, such as lack of focus, information overload, communication overload. And I think with the growth of ChatGPT, people have discovered that they can make their work or their lives easier and faster. And AI can take care of the boring and the time-consuming tasks like typing data, filling out forms, making appointments, and they're using AI to give them more time to do more meaningful activities within their lives and work. And AI can help staff do their work better by giving them tips, suggestions, or help based on data or machine learning. For example, salespeople can quite easily find out who their best customers are, or marketers can go and create campaigns quicker with the use of AI, or customer service agents are solving problems quicker and finding information they need to service customers by using AI. And it's really being used to work smarter and better, and some would say making them happier, but that's another story. And I think what people are looking for AI is to find solutions to make their lives easier, and to free up, that commodity, which is time. So, but that's what the end users or staff or employees want. Business owners and managers are also really worried about the data privacy and the security which AI brings. Yeah. AI relies heavily on data. It relies solely on data. And business owners are really concerned about ensuring the privacy and security of sensitive information. They must address issues relating to data collection, storage, access control, compliance with regulations. And I'm going to be really blunt here. AI is only as good as the data. After all, it's learning from the data. If there are issues with data quality, consistency, or availability, I'm going to be really blunt. AI is useless. It's absolutely useless, and it could actually be dangerous in the fact that it can provide misleading or incorrect information. So that's a big concern at the moment. Now, there are other, and I'm not going to go into this one too much because there are obviously then the ethical considerations around AI, and business owners, we need to navigate the ethical considerations associated with it. This includes sort of bias in algorithms, potential job displacement, impact on society. And we really need to ensure that these are designed and used responsibly, fairness. But as I say, I'm not going to go. We could be here all day talking about the ethics of AI, so I'm not. But it needs to be. It needs to be mentioned. And I think the final thing is also understanding the massive cultural and organizational change AI brings. More often than not, it does require a big cultural and organizational change within businesses. Business owners are really concerned about managing that resistance to change, fostering a new culture around innovation and learning, and also to ensure that employees are adequately trained and empowered to use AI technologies correctly. And that's the key, correctly. So how do business users benefit from all the things that AI can do, but then on the other side, ensure that the business data is protected? So this is where Microsoft Copilot comes in. So Microsoft have developed Microsoft Copilot to meet both these demands. And I was struggling really to how to explain Copilot concisely. And this is the official Microsoft description. And I thought, yeah, very good, very Microsoft-y, if that's a word. And after 15 years of working with Microsoft, you sort of get used to this. But I thought it isn't great. It doesn't really say what it is. So guess what I did? I asked Copilot. So I asked Copilot what Microsoft Copilot was. And yeah, okay. So Microsoft is an AI-powered service designed to help users navigate and utilize features and capabilities across the Microsoft product range. Great. Thought a bit better. It explained to me a bit more, but I thought to myself, I'm never getting away with people who know me that I wrote that. So, and it didn't really tell me anything. So I thought I'd ask it to rewrite it a bit more casually in a bit more detail. So that's what it produced. So yeah, I thought, yeah, that's great. That's really good. Great, really quite good high explanation of what Copilot is. So again, it acts as a co-pilot in your daily work. It effectively creates handle routine tasks, but it integrates within the Microsoft stack, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc., and some high-level things of what it actually does. So, for example, summarizes emails in Outlook, create slides in PowerPoint, etc. I thought, yeah, that's good. At that point, my 9-year-old daughter came into the office to say goodnight. And she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing Copilot." She said, "What's Copilot?" I was like, "Oh, I've now got to explain it to a 9-year-old." So what I did was, guess what? I asked Copilot. And funny enough, I thought that was the best explanation of what Copilot was, you know. And suddenly, even I went, right, I get what Copilot is now. It's great, I get it. So, and the fact that she walked out the room going, yeah, I understand that now, Dad. I'm going to use Copilot in the future because it says it's never grumpy like you. So I was like, yeah, that works for me. So, in essence, that's what Copilot is. So, right. So what are the options presently? Right, in true Microsoft fashion, they have now renamed everything to include the word Copilot in it. So there are three options when it comes to Copilot. You've probably noticed now in Bing, they called it Bing Enterprise Chat originally, but obviously renamed it to Copilot. So there is an option for Copilot. Copilot is a free AI service that uses information from the internet. Really, it's using Bing search data. So it's there to help generate content and provide assistance based on that information on the internet. It doesn't have any organizational resources or content within the Microsoft Graph, so such as things as OneDrive or emails or other data, and it doesn't have any commercial data protection on it. So what's that actually mean? Right. In English, that means that the data which you put into Copilot on Bing is not protected and it could be found in the public domain. All right. And Microsoft will also use that data to learn, will use it in Copilot to learn the model. All right. So it's not really a great option for businesses. All right. It's really more around that personal use, hence it being public and free. So you then have Copilot with commercial data protection. Now, if you purchase one of these licenses here, so for example, if your business has business premium or business standard, or you have an E3 or an E5, you receive Copilot with commercial data protection included in your license fee. So you get it included. So what that actually means is it's sort of the first step into generative AI in work, all right, because it adds commercial data protection. And what that means is that the commercial data, it means both the user and the organizational data are protected. Okay, it stays within your tenant. All right. However, so the prompts aren't saved, the responses aren't saved. Microsoft have no eyes on access, as they call it, and the chat and the data which you are inputting into that is not used to train the larger Copilot model. Okay, so it's sort of that in between gap between free Copilot and Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365. Okay, so if I go back to my graph again, the next stage to that is Copilot for Microsoft 365. You will see here within the free version, including your license, it doesn't have any enterprise security in it. It doesn't have integrated into Microsoft Graph. And what's that mean? It doesn't have access to work content or context. It's a web-based service with no integration into work applications. So hopefully I've explained that correctly between the two. So what we're going to concentrate more on today is Copilot for Microsoft 365. So that is the enterprise level. So it takes it to a new level. It has all the capabilities of Copilot with commercial data protection, but it has more. It's based on the latest GPT language model, which is 4.5, I think. The others two use the older version, so not quite up to date. But probably more importantly, it's built on Microsoft's enterprise grade security, their privacy, their identity. You know, it's what is based on their Microsoft 365. So all the security that you have within the Microsoft 365 tenant, which the majority of people on this call are using, it inherits that existing security, privacy, identity, compliance policies. So fundamentally, your data is isolated within your Microsoft 365 tenant. It's always within your control. You know, at a tenant level, Copilot sort of respects the individual and group permission policies with it. And so that's the next level, which is what we're going to concentrate on today. But I thought it was key because you'll probably see all these different Copilots, what the difference between them are. So I thought this was a really interesting slide. These are all the Copilots which Microsoft have developed. Okay, you'll see that they're integrating it into every product and service which they produce. All right, there's a huge range of them in there, but I think it's really shows that Microsoft are pivoting on the AI world. All right, they are integrating AI. AI is not going away. Microsoft are pivoting their whole business based on AI, and it will be integrated into everything that they do. You know, this slide's slightly out of date. It says there's over 90. I think it was, last time I looked, there's about 125 different Copilots across the Microsoft stack. But what we're going to concentrate on today is Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is focused around the modern workplace. So the business applications that we use day in, day out. Right, finally, I said this to Dan before. My wife often calls me the fun stopper, and I'm definitely going to live up to that name in this section because we're going to talk about data and preparation. So let's talk about data. Microsoft are encouraging what's known as a zero trust rule when it comes to data. So simply put, it's never trust, always verify. So what that means is you don't trust anyone or anything by default, even if it's inside your network. So you always check who they are, what they want, what can they do before letting them access anything. So it avoids people, well, it sort of helps getting hacked, losing data, or giving people only what they need. And the way that I look at the zero trust is that it flips it on the head in the fact that it assumes that every person or device is guilty until proven innocent. And that's the way to look at it. The next thing you have, and then the problem you can see, the problem is that when you've got to be careful of what people can see and what they can do with the data. Make no mistake here, if in the policies of your tenant, someone is allowed to see a document, they will find it. Yeah, gone are the days now where employees go looking for files they're not supposed to have access to. Copilot will find it within seconds. I'll give you an example. This was rolled out to a corporate business in London, and the day after it was launched, somebody went in to can I find out all the information regarding the MD? And the first document that came back from Copilot was his divorce settlement papers. Clearly, it wasn't settled correctly, but that person, it was in an area where the person searching it had permissions to, and it returned that document. So we've just got to be really careful around where data is stored and what people can do and have access to it. So before any deployment of Copilot, there's a lot of work to be done around the classification of data. Now we use things like metadata classifications, labels, and there has to be an audit around user permissions and implementing strict policies. You know, there has to be you have to build a really good foundation for your data and maintain that going forward to ensure your data is secure, or people are seeing data which they are allowed to see and not what they're allowed to see. So there's a lot we can do about that around using Microsoft systems, but it would be wrong of me not to highlight this and also say that it's an easy task. Obviously, it depends on the present state of your data, but I'd rather be honest to say you really shouldn't underestimate this task. And the last thing that I'm going to say again, is AI is only as good as the data Yeah, it's learning from that data. If there are issues around the data quality or availability, again, being blunt, AI is totally useless. So in short, there's a fair bit of work needed to make sure a business is Copilot ready, and it's not a simple case of buy the license, turn it on, and off you go, and AI will work seamlessly. I.e., the the glossy videos that you see that are produced for Microsoft, that is not the case. There is quite a lot of work that needs to be done prior to that to get Copilot ready. So you'll all be glad to hear that I'm going to shut up and pass you over to Dan, who's going to do the bits that you probably actually want to see, which is the demos. We're going to do some brief demos using Copilot. Dan.
I'll just share my screen then. So what I'm going to do first is just talk about the actual features within each application. So first of all, we have Outlook, and unfortunately for those still using the old Outlook, it's not going to be available to them. You have to upgrade to the new Outlook. So Copilot's going to be able to manage your emails and calendars more efficiently. You'll be able to utilize coaching and email thread summaries, and later in the year, meeting preparation will be incorporated into it. The next we have Word. With Word, you'll be able to write, edit, format documents more efficiently. It'll provide suggestions. You'll be able to draft content, ask questions of your content, and even ask questions of content that has been supplied to you by your colleagues and customers. PowerPoint. PowerPoint's going to be it's going to enable you to create any sort of slideshow just from a simple prompt. The more detailed the prompt, the better the slideshow. You can create new presentations, but also you'll be able to utilize other documents such as Word documents to create presentations from. I will give you a short demo of that shortly. In OneNote, it's going to enhance your note-taking experience and help you understand, create, and recall information with ease. Some of the features will be summarizing your notes, creating to-do lists, and also engaging with Copilot chat to better understand any notes you've actually written down. Copilot in Excel is currently in preview, so it's very limited functionality. I will give you a short demo of it, but Microsoft are not guaranteeing that the functionality works at the moment. But when it does, you'll be able to create formula columns, analyze data, write formulas, and visualize data. Copilot in Teams. Copilot in Teams is going to enable you to collaborate more effectively in meetings. It's going to be able to provide real-time summaries of discussions you're having. There is also a chat functionality being deployed as a separate app within Teams, which allows you to search for data from your SharePoint, from your Teams messages, from emails, and basically anywhere within your Microsoft environment. So now I'm just going to give you a short demo. So first of all, I'm going to give you a demo of Outlook. So I've set up a dummy conversation or email thread here with a few of my colleagues. From here, you can see you've got the summary by Copilot function up at the top here. If you click on that, it will generate a summary of all the emails within the thread. This is particularly handy if you've had some time off work or anything like that, and you need to catch up on some missed emails. With these numbers here, it will actually link to that specific email. So if you need to find that information quickly, you can. Say, for example, I wanted to respond to this latest email. Copilot gives you the function to respond using Copilot. So down here, it will suggest options or suggest emails for you. But should you want to, you could customize the prompt. For example, let's say suggest meeting times. I can let Copilot generate that for me. Once it's generated it for you, if you're not particularly happy with it, you could make it longer, shorter. You can even change the tone of the email. Once you've got it, if you click keep, it will then populate the email for you. If you write an email yourself or you've written an email, you can even use Copilot to coach. So what this will do is it'll offer suggestions on tone, clarity, etc. From here, I'll give you a short demo of Word. So Word's possibly the best demo I can give you. Unfortunately, due to this being in our live environment, I'm limited on what I can actually show you just because of data protection and the fact I've got Tim keeping his watchful eye over me. I'd like this not to be my last day at Axon. So with Word, you can use very simple prompts or you can use very detailed prompts. So I'll just start off with a simple prompt. So I'd just like this to create a report on the origins of cheesecake. It's a bit random, but it can take some time for Copilot to search the internet. But once it does, it will bring it back. It will format the text for you correctly, give you headings, bullet points, etc. With Copilot, in all the applications, they do provide you with the sidebar. So once it's actually produced the content, you can ask questions about the content, summarize the document, look at if there's any calls to action. If this was a document from a colleague, you could click this and it'd summarize it and give you your calls to action. What I will do while we're doing this, depending on the prompts you ask it, I will just create a new document. You can really go into detail. So I obviously don't know anything about renewable energy technologies, but Copilot does. So I'll just leave this going in the background because this may take some while. It may take a little while. But as you can see here, it's produced everything I've asked for and displayed it correctly. The next one I will show you is PowerPoint. So from PowerPoint, you can create presentations from scratch, or you can use documents stored within your Office 365 environment. I will just give you a quick. So I want to create a presentation about 10 travel destinations around Europe. What this will do is it'll search the internet, it'll pull images in, and it will present the slides and design the slides for you. Apologies about the demo. It takes some time sometimes. I'll go back to show you how it's actually pulling in all the information about the renewable technologies in Word. Using that. So here's the 10 destinations for Europe. So it's produced me 10 slides. It's pulled in images relating, or mostly relating, to those particular locations. I can see there isn't a slide for London, so I'm going to ask it to create one. So this should create me a slide.
I think the key bit with that, Dan, is that it gives you a real start to your presentation.
Yeah, it gives you a decent basis because once you've got all the information, or you can edit the information, you can just go ahead and use Designer and things like that to make the presentation suit your requirements.
We find that the images or the context is relatively good. I don't know what a door's got to do with London, if I'm perfectly honest, but
it's not too bad. There's a German sausage there, so that's almost relatable. But the other option you've got with PowerPoint is you can create a presentation from a file. So the document I was just generating here about the renewable technologies, I have pre-populated one before. So you can choose a document from within your SharePoint. It could be a document you've created or a document you've received from someone. So as long as it's shared within your environment, you will be able to reference that and create a slideshow from it. The other thing you can do with this is if you're using documents that's stored within your environment, you can ask it questions and it will search other documents within your environment to respond to those questions. So if you've got multiple documents all about the same subject, you can compile them into one slideshow. As you can see here, it's also adding speaker notes. So all your notes down here will be generated, giving you, like Tim said, a good basis to start building your presentation from. The next one I will show you is Excel. Unfortunately,
just before you move off that, that took what, a minute to produce?
It's a lot quicker than I could do it, especially on a subject I know nothing about. So that's how helpful it can be. With Excel, unfortunately, like I say, it's in preview. So the only thing I've found that I can get it to do at the moment is this without it telling me there's an issue. It's not the. So this is more about styling. So this is adding conditional formatting to a column.
And I think that's, be honest with that in terms of the Excel side, we were quite excited about what it could do with Excel, but because it's in preview, it's actually quite limited presently on what it can do.
But eventually what this will be able to do is create, well, it'll analyze your data and be able to create your visualizations and a breakdown analysis of any data that you provide. The only thing they suggest is that everything needs to be in a table format. The next thing I'll show you is Teams. So within Teams, you will have your usual Copilot within your chats, but like I say, due to data privacy, I can't really show you that at the moment, but I can show you this, which is the application which gets installed once the license is applied to your account. These are the prompts which are just suggested to you. There are many prompts you can use, such as all these, along with Copilot Labs, which is constantly getting updated. And within this, you can single it out to a particular application if you wanted to find out certain, or if you wanted to try prompts within that application. So for this example, I'm just going to try this one here, the what's new. So I'm going to use my colleague Ben. I think he might be on the call, so hopefully we haven't said anything in any messages. But what you'll see here is it's going to look through my emails, my chats, my files, anything relating to Ben. So it's pulling up the emails myself and Ben have sent to each other, the chats we've had, and any files that we've been collaborating on. One thing I will say here, which Tim brought up a few slides back, was the security aspect. These documents here are ones I've had nothing to do with. So because Ben is the author of those and I have access within SharePoint, I'm privy to the information that's in them. So this is something that I think people will need to look into when implementing Copilot and making sure all their data is sorted and filed correctly. The last thing I will show you will be Teams meetings. This might not go to plan due to it being a live meeting, but once a meeting's started, the transcription starts. Copilot itself will listen to the meeting as it's going along, and you can use prompts throughout the meeting to get a response from Copilot. When a meeting's coming to a close, 5 minutes before it closes, you will actually get a summary of the meeting provided by Copilot, which you can then use to finish the meeting up, to close the meeting, and get some actions for any of the participants. Once a meeting is ended, you'll be able to produce minutes automatically, produce emails based off the content of the meeting, and send those out to any participants. So, as you can see there, it's providing the actions. I can get it to suggest some follow-ups. As you can see, it's singling people out for those particular follow-up questions.
So Dan, just on Mo's asked a question. So would it be that work the same if you asked it to generate content based upon internal documents and not internet content? So when just to answer that question is when Dan did the demo then of producing a PowerPoint, just go back to the PowerPoint, Dan, on renewable energy, that is based on an internal document. So what Dan did there was actually reference. So he went, can I have that? Can I have this PowerPoint based on this document? Now this document was saved within SharePoint. So that is an internal document there. That is it's basically a link to an internal document. So that PowerPoint has been produced purely from an internal document and not internet content, if that makes sense.
Yes, so if you wanted to add additional content from the internet afterwards, that's where you could use the prompts down here to further the presentation. The actual content of this is just based off the Word document.
And if you show that Word document, then it's based upon the Word document which was produced. Now, from this demonstration purposes, Dan produced that document from the internet because it went out and said, write me a document from internet-based information, but then it becomes an internal document, which then you can produce the slideshow PowerPoint from any internal document. Hopefully that answers that question.
I could see Mo's has another question about is it available on desktop or?
Yeah, I answered that
web
for people. Right. So Dan is working on desktop applications here. So once you have a license involved, you then get the ability built into the desktop application.
Once the license is enabled as well, you also get the use of Copilot through Microsoft 365 app on your phone. So the applications, because it's all built into one now. So PowerPoint, Word, Excel, everything that's included in the 365 app on your phone will have Copilot enabled in that too.
Sorry, Dan, I jumped in.
It's all right. So the important bit now.
The important bit, and this is an interesting bit. So, Dan, if you just put up pricing for Copilot, now it's quite a contentious thing. This Microsoft have priced it at $30 per user per month. So presently, at the current exchange rate, it's £24.05 per user per month. It's an add-on onto your subscription. So it doesn't have to be enabled across the tenant. Not all people have to have it. You can do it on an individual basis. The next thing is they have enforced that it has to be purchased on an annual upfront term. Okay, so you cannot purchase Copilot on a month-by-month basis. It has to be purchased 12-month in advance. So you pay the annual fee upfront per user per month. So it equates to £288.60 per user for the year. And the next thing is they are not offering any trials on it. There's numerous reasons that I hear. Mostly it's the setup cost of Copilot. They say it's too high to offer free trials. And also it does take about, they are saying 2 weeks once Copilot is enabled on a tenant for it to learn and bring back meaningful data. So it has to go through the whole SharePoint, go through the tenants, index everything, etc., etc. So it takes about 2 weeks before any meaningful data, which is another reason why they're saying you can't offer free trials. That's Microsoft. So hopefully that's given you a flavour of what Copilot can do. I know, yeah, he's on the call. I've had numerous conversations with one person on the call. And the thing that I will say about Copilot is there needs to be a business case of why you want to implement Copilot, because there is clearly an ROI conversation to be had around the license cost for Copilot. So it's not a case of I just want AI. There has to be a reason why you want it and what are the benefits of implementing it. And I think I'm quite clear onto some people I've had conversations about that with. So let me just have a look. Can we cover Copilots? Sorry?
I've just spotted a question from Martina regarding the format documents need to be stored in. As long as it's stored in a Word document or I believe a PDF when creating presentations, it doesn't matter what the formatting is. As long as there's text in there that it can read, it will be able to produce and recognize the data and produce something from it.
Okay, Sally, presume the Copilot in Bing is available without a full code. Yes, it is. That is the difference between Copilot with commercial data protection, and Copilot for Microsoft 365. So I know that you will sit within the middle, which is Copilot with commercial data protection, but that will not reference, that is an internet-based, it will return, it will not reference documents within your tenant.
I can show them that if you want to.
Yeah, okay, but you are protected under the commercial. You'll see there is a highlight that says protected. You are protected commercial data, if that makes sense. Can we cover Copilot in Dynamics? Copilot in Dynamics is going back to the original circle. There are numerous Copilots. That is a bigger subject, I have to say. It probably takes about another hour. I can take that offline with you, Rebecca. We can have a conversation around Copilots for Dynamics. That is a separate product to Microsoft 365 Copilot. Can you ask it to look at multiple internal documents?
Yes, you would have to do it, I think, one document at a time to reference. There are options to, if you've got the location of the file, you can actually point it towards a file to ask it questions and bring data in. But it's going to be ever evolving. So I think the user interface at the minute is designed for pulling in a single document. I think they will make it easier going forward to pull in numerous documents.
Hopefully that answers your question, Andrew.
I don't think network, Mo again's asked about network folders. If it's not within your 365 environment, it won't be indexed. So it needs to be within SharePoint or OneDrive for Copilot to be able to index it, create the metadata to reference it from prompts.
Rebecca, yes, please. We have it, but no idea how to use it. Right, okay, Rebecca, we'll take that offline. I'll contact you. We can have a conversation around that. Has anybody else got any further questions? Silence is golden. So, further to this, we will send out the decks. Dan and I are obviously available for any questions you have. Just pick up the phone or drop us an email or a Teams message. We will answer anything. We can obviously go through and go into further detail. We try to just give you a flavour of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is and some of the things that you can do. If you would like to go into greater detail around what it can do, that's gives us contact us, and we'll obviously do that. Will it be able to reference Microsoft 365 archive data? My understanding is yes, it can.
If it's in SharePoint or it's in OneDrive, then yes.
Yes, it can. Any more for any more? Okay, right. I will, as I say, after this, we will send out the deck so you have reference to that. Please feel free to reach out to either Dan or I. Contact details there. Well done, Dan. Reach out to either of us, and we will come back with. We will. Sorry, I'm reading a Q&A. We will attempt to assist you in any way that we can. Right. Final thing to say, thank you again for your time. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you found it useful, and hopefully speak to you all soon. Thanks.
Thank you.